It is Market Movers on a Tuesday, coming to you live from Studio S here at Sport Trade headquarters. I'm Dan Koob. We do have a very interesting and different show for you today. Usually we're talking about all kinds of different markets, all kinds of different trends around the NFL, but we really want to dig deep into one specific team that has been by far the most volatile throughout the entire first couple of weeks of the NFL season. So we'll bring up the order book to tell you exactly what's on the slate for today. We are talking, of course, about the Atlanta Falcons. And to do that, we had to go to who I think is right-handed, the best guy who covers them, Fox Atlanta reporter Justin Felder, going to join us here on the show on how to approach trading the Dirty Birds as we approach week 4 of the NFL season. Justin, welcome in to Market Movers. What's going on, buddy?
Dan, thanks for having me. It's been so exciting following what you guys have been doing with Sport Trade. I'm really excited to see you guys enjoying a lot of success. I can't wait till y'all come down to Georgia and I can dive right in. But I'm thrilled to be here. It's been an interesting team, to say the least. I know they've been really interesting in your side of the world too.
What are the most interesting teams? Only because they're just so volatile. I mean, you've been to every game so far this season. They opened up against the Saints. Then you were in LA. You were basically driving up and down the coast between LA and Seattle. What was the trip like?
It was a lot of fun. It was fun for us. You know, it's a lot really different. You know, the Falcons played the Rams in week 2. Then they elected to stay on the West Coast. They went right to Seattle and practiced at the University of Washington all week. So we stayed out there with them. We're the partner station of the Falcons. Yeah. We do a lot of additional programming with the team, but it was really fun just from our point of view. They went, this is, you know, neither here nor there from the game side of things, but on Tuesday they went and visited a joint military base, which something I'd never done before. And it was funny, I was talking to the players and they thought, okay, like we're going to go sign some autographs, take some pictures and get back in the van. But they were shooting machine guns. They were throwing grenades. We went onto I don't know, not an aircraft carrier, like a person, one of those huge airplanes, the C-17 or whatever it was. They're getting in Apache helicopters.
Wow.
It was awesome. Like that was really, really cool. And obviously the trip was a lot of fun. And it was 2 really entertaining games as well. Of course, they split the road trip, but they both came right down to the end.
This is an inside baseball question. What does the interactive stand-up look like at an Air Force base for those TV heads?
I'm going to send it to you. So I'm not.
Please do.
I'm sure you've personally fired a 50 caliber machine gun, as we all have.
Sure.
Turns out very loud, and constant. Yeah. Right. So I thought, here's a fun thing. We'll make a pun on like the team has been under fire, but not like this. But as it turns out, again, who could have seen this coming? The machine gun's a lot louder than I am. So I got about 12 takes of me saying, the team has been... So anyway, we finally found one that was okay, where we kind of said something, turned to the guy that's shooting the machine gun. So I'll send it your way. It's you'll appreciate it.
I will appreciate it. As someone who did TV for 10 years, I mean, there's nothing funnier than doing an interactive stand-up. For those watching, the stand-up is the part of the story where the reporter is in it. And then coming back and being like, you know what? We really nailed that one. That one's going on my reel immediately for the next job I'm going to go try to get. We are hopping in to the A block here, and really the focus of the show is going to be what is going on with the Atlanta Falcons. According to a unit grade graph that Rufus Peabody puts together, and it's a fantastic graph. We love Rufus. He does amazing analytical work. He's a part of Unabated. Go check it out on his Twitter feed. What this chart ranks, Justin, is rushing, passing, scoring efficiency, play success efficiency for both offenses and for defenses, and it's on a 0 to 100 scale, very similar to our 0 to 100 scale, meaning 0 didn't happen on Sport Trade. On this scale, 0 means you're not very good, 100 means you're really good. So with that in mind, the Atlanta Falcons have an offensive play success rating of 93 and a scoring efficiency of 85. So we'll put that into context throughout the National Football League. That is 3rd and 6th respectively. So this offense is one of the best in the National Football League. Now, you're there all the time, Justin. Put it into context. Is this just an offense that's hurrying to catch up, or are they legitimate?
No, I don't think they have. And you can say it because there have been 3 close games, right? I think from the fantasy point of view, coming into the season, a lot of people would say, you know, guys like Kyle Pitts, Drake London, et cetera, especially on the passing side, might be really valuable because they're going to be playing catch up. And with the exception of the Rams game, that really wasn't the case. And it's not like they're throwing the ball all over the case in spite of the run. They're 5th in the NFL in rushing yards per game, featuring Cordero Patterson, a guy who's kind of getting younger.
Old,
with every
right?
day
He's
that
an
he gets
old
older.
32. How offensive is that for guys like us?
I know. I try not to think about it. But just, he's been reinvented in this Arthur Smith offense. So really, they've been able to find that balance. And I think, from our point of view, it's two things, right? Number one, it's they've got playmakers all over the offense. You mentioned Cordero Patterson. You got Drake London, who's been the most productive rookie wide receiver, who's got touchdowns now in back-to-back games. And you have Kyle Pitts, who, the fantasy folks weren't so crazy with his first 2 weeks, really kind of busted out here in the third game, but he's as talented as they come at tight end. So you've got three good playmakers. And the other thing is probably the area with the biggest question mark heading into the season was the offensive line. They've been pretty good, right? Matt Ryan for the last several years have been getting banged around. Marcus Mariota, obviously a lot more mobile, but he's only been sacked 6 times so far, which is right in the middle of the pack in the league. It's not outstanding, but they've been keeping him afloat and also keying that rushing game. So I think the offensive line should get a lot of credit. They were also playing with a backup left guard in this last game. So I think those are really the two areas right now that have showed that this offense can do a lot. And it's also, Arthur Smith, they hired him from the Tennessee Titans to be this creative offensive mind. They've been doing a ton of different things, a ton of different personnel packages, a lot of creative plays, interesting screens. So they haven't really been afraid to throw a lot at Marcus Mariota and the offense. Mariota, who does have some history with Arthur Smith. So it's been a fun offense to watch so far. And it showed. They're up there in scoring. They're also up there, as I'm sure we'll get to, in points allowed by the defense.
That's my next point. I mean, Arthur Smith, a true artist, right? It takes a true artist to draft a tight end 4th overall and then decide it's a decoy and not use him. Defensively, on that 0 to 100 scale, again, 0 being bad, 100 being really good. Defensively, they have a 9 rating for both scoring efficiency and play success. They've really just struggled on that end. So I want to dive in deeper, like you mentioned at the top, Justin. We're going to start in week 1 with the Saints. I'm going to pull up here this probability graph. Now, you'll be able to see it on your screen. The purple is the Falcons' probability, and the green is the Saints' probability. Now, as you're following this game, as you can see, the Saints early on up top, and then it drops down to Atlanta. Atlanta was around $17 per contract in the early going. Again, $17 per contract on Sport Trade to win a game means about a 17% chance of winning the game. So that represents a really great buy low opportunity. The Falcons end up trading close to $95 per contract because they were up 26-10 with about 12 minutes and 41 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. And then they do what Atlanta teams do, and they give it all back. They end up losing. Now, that's just one of the games. That's week 1. Let's flip it on over to week 2. This is Atlanta against the Rams. Like you mentioned, they were kind of playing hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. They eventually were worth 50 cents a contract when they were down, I'm sorry, I hate to say it, 28-3 with 9:22 left to go in the third quarter. They end up getting to approximately $39 per contract in the second half. Justin, I know you can't use Sport Trade yet. You're in Georgia, but just looking at that, I mean, that's valuable for traders to look at and say, hey, this is a team that even when they're down, they're going to fight.
Yeah, I think so. From the Sport Trade perspective, the word is volatile that you're using, but what we hear from the coach and from the players is consistency, right? Every single coach says it every single week, even about the good teams. But this is a group that has not been able so far to really put together a consistent 60 minutes. And few have. It's early in the season, right? But they're a couple bounces away from being 2-1, maybe even 3-0, and they're probably a couple plays by the Seahawks away from easily being 0-3. So yeah, they've been up and down, but look, it's a new team. It's a lot of new faces, a lot of even returning players in much bigger roles. So it's understandable. It's still early in the season. But that's got to tell you, if you're the Falcons, yeah, you have room to grow, but you also hate leaving some wins on the table. But I think, you know what, they told us all preseason long, all training camp long, when we were asking questions about rebuilding and things like that, they felt like they were beyond that point, and they have shown the talent that they can go out there and play with anybody. We saw what the Saints did this week. Rams coming off the Super Bowl. Seattle, a tough place to play, and they were right. They can play with anybody. But they've also shown the stretches of the opposite. So from the sport trade point of view, yeah, they have not shown that consistency to just come out and be a dominant team, but also where a lot of folks, when they had them 32nd out of 32 in the power rankings, might have expected them to get rolled over by the Super Bowl champion Rams or in Seattle or against the Saints. That didn't happen either. So yeah, volatility, or what Arthur Smith or any coach would say is inconsistency.
Well, and we'll pull up a trade here on your screen that was made during that Rams game. At the time, they were trading at just 50 cents per contract, and we're using the term volatile. You're using the term consistency. For a sports trader, this is a team that has the offensive firepower to make you a lot of money in the event that they get down. They also have the opportunity to lose you a lot of money in the event that they get up maybe a little too quickly, because as we've just talked about, they're not really putting together a full 60 minutes of football. But in this scenario, this is when they were down 28-3 in the third quarter against the Rams, a 50-cent contract for one contract that eventually was sold for $9.50, inclusive of a 2% commission on Sport Trade, paid out $9.32. Again, that contract, Justin, went up to almost 35, 36. So a great opportunity in order for traders to maybe capture that volatility. Now, last week, we'll flip over to the Seahawks. This one a little more consistent because the Falcons were able to go and get that victory coming into that week, and we talked about it on the show last week. I felt like the Falcons were a prime candidate to go into Seattle and win. They opened up at 47.50 to win the game. That's straight up. They went down to approximately $35, as you're seeing here. The Falcons in green, the Seahawks in purple there. So again, in the early going, an opportunity to buy low on the Falcons and have that offense sort of come back to life a little bit. And then they go on and win the game and get your trade up to $100 per contract. When you're watching this team, right, it's such an interesting profile, Justin, because clearly they can score with anybody, but they can't stop anybody either. When you're covering a team like that, how do you do it?
Well, I think the first thing, if we go back to the Rams game, is, you know, again, I'm not in the right state for the app yet, and obviously I'm not going to be gambling on a team I'm covering, but hypothetically, you look at that Rams game, you look at my Twitter account, I was posting and saying, are we going to see Desmond Ridder out there, right, when they were down 28-3, if we're going to see the rookie quarterback out there? So, you know, egg on my face, because they came right back in it and had it a possession to go drive and take the lead late in that game. So, yeah, if you're a savvy trader, you know, on Sport Trade, yeah, there are opportunities there, but also, you know, we're still learning about this team, right? And that was only a 6 quarters into the season. I think it's exciting. I mean, it's fun, you know, and we're all the Houston Rockets of a few years ago. That was a fun team to watch when they're winning games 140-130. We'll see if it stays that way. I'll say this about the Falcons defense is they have been able to generate turnovers. They have 5 turnovers generated so far, which again is in the top third or so of the league, which isn't great, but they've been able to get their hands on the ball. And the one thing that they're really trying to ramp up, and I think will really help this defense, is the pass rush. They have been just abysmal over the past few years. Last year, they had 18 sacks for the season. So that's a little better than 1 sack per game. Right now, they have 7 sacks so far, which, you know, again, puts them right in the middle of the pack in the NFL. But that's averaging a little better than 2 sacks per game. So they've doubled their output to this point. And that's something, obviously, the little gear that turns all the bigger gears, right? If they're able to get pressure on the quarterback, it's going to help so many things. It's going to help generate more turnovers down the line. So I think there's room to grow there. You've got a defensive coordinator in Dean Pease who's going to want to do a lot with this defense. So I think they feel like they have room to improve. They have a lot of younger guys in bigger positions, in bigger roles that they feel good about moving forward. But yeah, so far, especially on defense, they haven't been able to put together those long stretches. That said, they closed out the Seahawks game. They were able to really shut down the Rams for a quarter and a half or so of that game in LA to enable the comeback. So they've shown flashes, but as your rating showed, it hasn't showed up in the big picture.
Stacking success, yes?
Oh, if you have success, you got to stack.
An old McCarthyism from our Green Bay days. Well, I think we may have lost your audio there, Justin. Do you adjust? Oh, you're back. Okay, you're back.
I'm still here. Cool.
Yeah. No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, just the importance of stacking success. I mean, look, we can go all day on this. And I know that is is that the Thursday podcast you're starting soon?
I think so. Yeah, Stacking Success, sponsored by Sport Trade. Alliteration's a big part of what we're trying to do here as a marketing ploy.
I think it should.
Yeah.
You could do snacking and stacking. You got a lot of options there. And look, I would be happy to come back on that podcast. I know that's your next question.
We'll talk to your booker. I think she's in the other room. So looking towards Sunday afternoon, the Cleveland Browns going to Atlanta. This is a really interesting matchup, not only on the field, but of course on Sports Trade as well. But the profiles of these teams are very similar. We'll pull up the market on Sport Trade on the screen. Looking at DVOA, Atlanta's 14th overall. Cleveland is 7th. Both offenses, though, in the top 10. Both defenses in the bottom third of leagues. So the question becomes, again, similar profiles, but where is the value? Now, our market to my right here not popping up. So let me pull up our game graphic. The spread is 1.5 to the Browns. So the Browns favored by 1.5. And that is priced at $50.50 on Sport Trade. The Falcons getting a point, or rather, the Falcons plus 1.5 at $51 per contract on Sport Trade. Now, again, so much of this is finding the value. The total is 48.5. So pretty high, expecting some scoring. So that suggests to me that the odds makers are looking at a score of around 25-23, right? Given the spread and the total. So if I can get the Falcons at plus 1.5 at $51 per contract, and I can get them outright at $50.50 per contract, for 50 cents, our market makers are giving me a 1.5. Mm-hmm. So all I have to pay is 50 cents, and I'm getting a 1.5. To me, if I'm betting on the Falcons, if I'm trading on the Atlanta Falcons, that's the trade I want to make. I want to make sure that I'm grabbing for 50 cents the extra 1.5 at home, no less. What are your thoughts?
Right, and you also got to think about the big news of the week in terms of the Falcons and Browns. I'm not sure if this is already priced into your world as the Myles Garrett news. You know, we don't know exactly what's going to happen with him, and hope he's doing all right. It's obviously the most important thing. Really scary situation there, but he's a guy with 3 sacks already on the season. The Falcons, like I said, have been protecting Marcus Mariota pretty well, but if you know the premier pass rusher is not on the field, and I mean I seem to be unlikely at this point. Obviously, we'll learn more as the week goes on. That's certainly in Atlanta's favor if they can give Marcus Mariota a little bit more time to look downfield. He has been willing to throw the ball down the field quite a bit this year. So that would certainly be in their favor. And I think they're also, you know, I'm excited to see what the atmosphere is going to be like. Obviously, Cleveland is one of those teams with a loyal fan base that is going to be everywhere and is going to be noisy. The Falcons haven't always had a huge home field advantage, especially in the last few years. However, you know, if there is a little bit of excitement about this team, and I think that there is with the talent, with what they've showed so far this season, even at 1-2, it could be a little bit of a fun atmosphere. This team feeling very confident coming off, you know, the win in Seattle, and also I think what they showed against the Rams. So should be an interesting game. I think, you know, like you said, it's 2 similar profiles. I'll tell you the one area that this defense has seemed to really be exploited just in terms of the numbers this year. It's been through the air, which is a little bit surprising considering they have AJ Terrell. They just signed Casey Hayward, a guy that we know from Green Bay as a free agent. So 2 really solid cornerbacks there. They've been giving up some yards through the air. They've been pretty solid on the ground. You obviously have Grady Jarrett, who's been so good for so long. Also, Taquan Graham, second-year guy out of Texas, defensive lineman, has really, you know, been showing up. What will they be able to do against Nick Chubb, who's just been, you know, a Georgia guy coming back home? I'm sure he's going to be juiced up to do that. Former University of Georgia star, went to Cedartown High School down the road. So I'm sure he's going to be excited to have a big game and going to present a lot of challenges. So really some interesting matchups of strength on strength and maybe not strength on not strength.
I'm going to put you on the spot. I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but give me a winner.
You know, I try not to pick these things because it can only go poorly for me. I feel like momentum is kind of in the Falcons' favor on this one. And I also I feel like, you know, if you would have told them before the season you come out of these first 4 games at 2-2, you got to be feeling pretty great, right? Yeah. Saints, Rams, at the Rams, at the Seahawks, Browns at home. Obviously, the Browns quarterback situation, we didn't know what that would be like, and their injury situation. But I think they're feeling good. I think the way I'd put it is this, right? Ignore the records for a moment and look at them more as a complete team. Had, you know, their 60-yard or whatever it was game-winning field goal in week 1 gone through and they would have been 2-1, then I don't think you'd be getting those odds right now on Sport Trade, right? If they came in right now at 2-1, their 60-yard field goal had gone through and not been blocked, and they're 2-1, they're probably favored by 3 or 4 points, right? But they'd be the exact same team. So if you kind of ignore the records for a moment and just look at strengths, weaknesses, where this team is right now, I think they could very easily be 0-3. Don't get me wrong, but they also could very easily be 2-1. So I think they're a little better than maybe their record gives away. And also, again, we'll see what the news brings on Myles Garrett, but I think that's a pretty significant absence if he's not able to play for Cleveland.
Once more, Justin, I'm going to put you on the spot. We really appreciate your Atlanta Falcons insight. I'm going to tell you right now, I will be trading on the Falcons plus 1.5 because I'm getting the extra 1.5 for the 50 cents. Baseball playoffs coming up. The defending World Series champions play in your backyard. The Atlanta Braves taking on the Nationals tonight. They have wrapped up a playoff spot. Them chasing down the Mets as well right now. The way they have constructed this team has been unbelievable. I mean, they have provided a roadmap for every MLB team, locking up young, talented guys for a decade plus. Obviously, playoffs are a crapshoot. What is the sense in Atlanta right now for the Braves heading into the postseason?
Well, I think the first thing is going to be this series this weekend, right? So they're right now scheduled for, and I say scheduled for, a 3-game series with the Mets Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They're currently a game behind the Mets in the NL East. The big scheduled for part is we got the tropical weather coming up this way. First of all, we're thinking of our friends in Florida. We both know a lot of people in the Tampa area. I'm sure that are really, either evacuated or bracing right now. So baseball, last thing on our minds. But looking at the schedule, that weather is going to make it up here this weekend. So they're scheduled to play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday night, Saturday look poor. So we will see if Major League Baseball shifts the time, shifts the days, shifts the location. We don't know. But that's big. I mean, that first round bye, like you said, that it takes a whole bunch of the randomness out, right? You can avoid that wild card round. You can save your ace, in this case, Max Fried, and who knows? I'm not really sure who their second starter would be. It's an open debate here, but a lot of confidence in this team right now. They've really shown a lot of different ways to win. They're having a lot of fun. They were at the White House yesterday, and it's been a real battle this year. And it'll be interesting to see if that is a benefit to them, really playing right down to the wire to try to win this division, or if it would have been better to have a little bit of time to rest your guys, like you're going to see from the Dodgers or something like that, especially if you're playing right down to the wire and then you have to turn around and host a wild card series. But this is a team playing with a ton of confidence, and like you said, they feel like they are set for a long time with guys like Ronald Acuna Jr., Ozzie Albies, Michael Harris, who's probably your rookie of the year this year, if not for Spencer Strider, maybe his teammate. Strider's still on a rookie deal, but those other 3 guys, Austin Riley all locked up for long contracts that are certainly below what they would have gotten on the open market. But the Braves are signing these contracts early and getting these guys under deals that are very favorable for a team that historically has not been one of the top spenders in baseball, but to give them credit, they've been spending more, in recent seasons. So we'll see. It's going to be fun this weekend, and hopefully the weather doesn't play too much havoc. But obviously, most importantly, is hope it's not as bad as it looks like it could be in Florida.
Kyle Muller on the hill tonight for the Braves. Only 7 2/3 innings thrown this year, but 9 earned runs. He's got an ERA of 10.57. Even still, the Braves still priced to win at 66.50 on Sport Trade. The Nationals 34.5. Justin, thank you so much for all of your inside insights into all things Atlanta. We really appreciate it. Make sure that you are coming right back here tomorrow. Market Movers every day at 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, as we are talking markets, we are talking trends, and of course, we're talking sports trading. We'll catch you here tomorrow. Same time, same place.